Hey everybody, Mo here, and in this video, I'm going to be bringing you guys my take on the Elusive aggro deck. And I actually ended up with an 82, a little bit above an 82% win rate with this deck. This is the deck I used to go from Silver 2 all the way up to Platinum 3 in one sitting. I went 42 and 9 with the deck, so it was very, very dominating. Now that was a different meta. This was about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago. It was either or 2 weeks ago. It was when the meta was basically this elusive deck. Everyone was playing the Freljord Zed version, or they were playing the Elise Darius version, or they were playing Dawn Spiders deck. Those were the three main meta decks, and I was able to use this deck and go all the way from Silver 2 to Platinum 3 in one sitting on stream. And like I said, I went 42 and 9 with this deck, so this was my take on it. And this version that I'm showing you guys right now is adjusted for the current meta. So if you guys want to, I would recommend this deck for you if you're probably trying to climb ladder more quickly than using the Mistwraith mid-range deck. Because this is, again, a very aggressive deck, so your games will go by faster, and we all know Legends of Runeterra is a huge grind with you gaining 20 LP and losing 20 LP for every win and loss. So it really is a grind. So if you want to look for an aggressive deck to try and just go quickly, this is my favorite aggressive deck at the moment. A lot of people don't consider it to be the best aggressive deck, but I've had a lot of success with it. So let's start off. The only champions I play in this deck is just 3 Zeds. I just keep it simple. Braum is really bad right now in the meta between, all of the mid-range decks playing Fearsome. Braum can't block on the defensive side, which is really bad. And when you play against the Ash Frostbite deck, they have a 3-mana wolf that just kills Braum without them needing to use a Frostbite spell, so that's bad. So the best part about Braum was Take Heart, and that didn't really see very much play for me. I found the Frostbite cards to be more useful, which we'll get into here in a moment. So yeah, so I'm just playing 3 Zeds. And so for the majority of this list, it's the exact same as from when I first played it and got from Silver to Plat. It's just very standard. You play 6 1-drops here that they all buff your deck, buff creature in hand, and you play a turn 2 Navori Conspirator or Duo. And this combo is really nice because you can play turn 1 Inspiring Mentor, buff your Conspirator, and then turn 2 you have a 4-3 Elusive, which most decks cannot handle consistently. And that immediately puts your opponent on a very fast clock. Usually if you open up with something like that, you can probably end the game on your second, maybe your third attack. And everything's standard here. You play a couple Assassins to draw cards. You play Kinku Lifeblade. This card's very important in the mirror match, in the elusive mirror matches. This card's very important against any aggro matchup. And this card is really good against the Mistwraith aggro deck if you can buff it up once because it has 4 toughness. So in the other 4 slot, you're playing 1 Babbling Bjerg. I call it Babbling Bjergerson, so if I call it that, it's because that's a funny last name. And this curves really well into your Avros and Hearthguard. So if you play Babbling Bjerg on 4, it draws you a Hearthguard. You're able to play Hearthguard on 5, and it just gives you a really clean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 curve. The other 5-drop I'm playing in this deck is actually one of this Shaman. So this Shaman is really good when you're playing against Ledros decks, because you don't actually have a permanent answer to Ledros. A lot of colors don't, or regions don't have a permanent answer to Ledros. So the best thing you can do is just make it not be able to attack every turn. This is also good against your Razas, and it's not bad in the mirror match. So if your opponent plays a big Empyrean that's a 7/6 because it got buffed, well, your Shaman just turns it into a 0/6 wall that can just block a couple turns. So it kind of just takes out one of your opponent's creatures. It kind of evens up the board field because you don't really ever attack with this card. So you're basically trading 1 creature spot on your side of the field for getting rid of their strongest attacker every turn. And then, of course, you're playing 2 Empyrean elusive creatures at the other high end. So this, along with your Babbling Bjerg, can also grab you the elusives late game, which is really nice and really nice to close the game out on turn 7. As far as the spells go, we're going to play 3 Elixir of Irons, 3 Brittle Steels. These are your early game combat tricks. They help in the mirror match a boatload, and this is how you're going to smoke all of the mid-range Wraith decks. So they're going to swing in with the 3-2, you're going to block with the 3-2, and then you can Elixir of Iron. Or you can Brittle Steel and not take the damage at all. So this is really how you're going to smoke any kind of creature matchup early game. People don't really play around Elixir of Iron. Some people play around Brittle Steel, but the more combat tricks you have early on, this is also good against your Demacian elite decks. It's good against maybe trying to cheese out a kill against a Fiora maybe. So all of these are good combat tricks for early. Your Twin Disciplines most of the time is just going to be used to save your creatures from Black Spears and make good trades. Every once in a while you can give your Zed +3 attack, and it makes your attacks with Zed really nice. You can also push for damage late game if you're swinging with almost lethal with Elusives. You can just add 3 damage there. Deny, I'm only playing 2 Deny because it's not really that good in the meta right now. You have the Ash deck, the Frostbite deck, which plays 0 deniable cards. Your Dawn Spiders list plays almost 0 deniable cards. Most of the cards you really care about have burst anyways in that matchup, like back-to-back is burst. When you're playing against the Fiora deck, the only thing you really care about denying is Judgment. So as long as you have a Judgment or a Deny by turn 8, or by the time your opponent has 8 mana, that's fine. And in the Mistwraith deck, the only reason you really care about Deny is for something like a Raza trigger or a really big late-game Vengeance. So 2 Deny seems fine to me. I'd rather I put in an extra Discipline or Deny, so if you want to run 3 Deny, you can just take out 1 Discipline. You play standard 3 Wills and then 2 Harsh Winds. This is, again, it's kind of like your early game combat tricks, except it's a late game bomb. So these are kind of like, I don't play a creature on turn 1 maybe, but I play a nice creature on turn 2 or 3. This can save your Zed on turns 2 or 3, and then in the late game, when you're making your big all-in attacks, or I like to use it on defense most of the time, so if your opponent makes their big all-in attack, and they kind of splurge out their hand and go all in because they think they get you. Let's say, you leave a creature unblocked, so they go, okay, triple pump spell, my hand's empty now, and you go, okay, Harsh Winds both of the creatures, you just brothers bonded. And you can really blow out some matchups like that. So this is my favorite version of the deck again. I think it's really nice in the meta, it's really fit, and a lot of people are playing the Demacian version of Elusives, if they are playing Elusives. I just personally like Freljord more because of the instant speed Frostbites. I think that's probably one of the best counters you can have to the burst speed back-to-back, is just answering it with the burst speed Frostbite. So you let your opponent back-to-back first, give 2 creatures +3/+3, and then you can instantly counter that with a Harsh Winds by making both of those creatures they just buffed lose all of their power. So if you're a little bit more patient with the Harsh Winds, they can really be a really nice counter to the other burst cards, the other burst pump spells, which is something I really like. So that's the deck overview, and now I'm just going to run a quick game from Diamond 3 Elo and show you guys how the deck works. Okay, we're against Dawn Spiders. Diamond 2. So we're against Diamond 2 Dawn Spiders, so what we're going to want here is early game good creatures. So this is good, and then we really want the Kinku Lifeblade. Perfect. So this curve is actually insane. Alright, so we can pump up on play 1, do Mentor into Conspirator. And then when we bounce the Conspirator on turn 2, or when we play the Conspirator on turn 2, we bounce the Mentor. And then we can buff up the Lifeblade, which is really big in this matchup. The only downside in this matchup is they play Dawn Speaker, which you literally have no answer to, except for Will of Ionia. But the really big upside is that you kill him underground. Mistwraith, that's fine. So we're going to go for the big damage play to try and end the game fast. Since we don't have a 3-cost minion, we want to use up all of the mana efficiently. So we play the 2/1 here on turn 2. And then as long as he doesn't have the drain, we're actually going to get in for a lot of damage. So we have 3 mana here. So we can play this for 2 mana. It gives us +1 attack. And then we're able to play the Mentor again and give it another attack. Like I said, of course this is all if our opponent doesn't have a removal spell, which it looks like he doesn't. Which is nice. We're going to get in for a lot of damage here. We're going to buff up the Lifeblade, because that's really big in this matchup. As long as you don't kill any of their units, then you can usually get a lot of damage in.
They'll never see us coming.
You can usually, this matchup's really easy because a lot of their spells rely on them to have their minions die. Like for instance, you know, half of their removal spells are in fact Black Spear, which requires a minion to die, and then Dawn Speaker only triggers if one of their minions die. Now, of course, they have ways to kill their own units, but as long as you're not killing their units, who cares, right? So we can play Kinku Lifeblade.
Strike what they cannot see.
Now, we don't want to block anything, or we want to block things, but we don't want to kill, like, put any of our stuff in danger. Because he plays a... Oh, everything has Fearsome. That's fine. Because they play a 1-mana +3/+3 spell, which you don't really want to deal with. So we can do this, and we can go to 5. Nice deny, so we can play this, and buff Babbling Beard.
One sprint for each crab I saw today.
Oh wait, we don't have lethal, but that's fine. We're fine. Because we're going to have a bunch of blockers. I want to keep 1 mana open so he can't drain my blade. But it looks like we're going to be fine.
Teeth big as tombstones.
Nice. So we have 2 big worms that can kill underground really fast. We're at 11, we're 2 damage off. Assuming he doesn't have a drain. He had the drain. So keeping Elixir of Iron open was the correct play. But that's fine. We can do this. And we're going to gain a bunch of life back because we have Kinku Lifeblade. He can tracker. Usually what you want to do here is pull the Lifeblades at the far right so I gain the least amount of life possible. And probably, die before he can even life gain. We'll see. We'll see if he does it correctly. He does do it correctly. And I believe we're dead if he has any pump spell. And I'm going to have to play this 1/1 after this. If we live. But like I said, I'm assuming he just has a pump spell and I lose, right? So we're going to block the biggest creatures here. And that's all we can do. Because we don't have our Frostbite card, we kind of just lose. Oh, that's his play. Well, if that's the play, then we're going to keep our guy alive here underground. And I kind of want to deny this. No, we're not going to deny it. We can let him draw cards. Because his unit would die anyways here. We really just want to be able to deny the kill spell. So we don't gain life, but that's okay. We're going to just buff up a worm. And I'm sure he has some number of Black Spears. We're just gonna counter at least one. Oh, that's not a Black Spear. That's fine. I mean, that tells me that he's like digging for removal spells. He's digging for the Black Spears. But now he has so little creatures on board that we can actually even attack with our 1/1s and possibly have lethal that way. So this is 1 Black Spear. We're gonna counter that and force him to have a second one. We'll pass to our opponent. Dawn Speakers. Okay. So I believe we win. Unless our opponent has another. We're gonna put our biggest creatures first. Oh, okay. Well, we won. Awesome. So there you go. We're able to win that match off of just going underneath just as fast as they were. The only difference was they could never block our creatures, even if they wanted to, and we could always block their creatures. So we always had the option to go defensive, whereas they're forced to go aggressive all out, and we ended up drawing the Kinku Lifeblade, which gained us enough life to live, because that card's really big in the matchup, and that's why we won. So that's it. We won a Diamond. We beat a Diamond 2 player on what a lot of people consider to be the second best deck in the meta. So that just shows you how it stands up to that. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I stream on Twitch Monday through Friday, and I post videos on YouTube Wednesday and Saturday. So go ahead and follow me on Twitch, subscribe here so you guys don't miss anything. I have a Discord, so make sure you guys join the Discord to always get the notifications on everything. And I'll see you guys in the next video.